Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. Happy Friday. Hope wherever you are, it's bright and sunshiny and no rain. But if you live in New York, sorry. We are literally right now in the middle of a flood. We are having flooding in New York, and there are these like emergency notices coming out on our phones. We don't ever get these notices about flood. This is probably the first time I've ever really seen one like this, like really basically stay home if and also get to higher ground. I don't think I've ever seen and notice talking about getting to higher ground. I was like, what? So we are like getting it. It's been raining, like I've been saying the whole week. We had one day of sun, but the rest of the days have been very, very, very cloudy. Hence I'm like, I am very much colors affect my mood. And so I hate the color gray. It's just I don't like the color gray at all. It just really makes me feel down and sad. So I'm always like, whenever I see gray, I'm always like bright colors, bright colors. So if you notice um my slides on here have been very, very bright colored. That's one of the reasons I don't like gray. I don't like seeing it. And bright colors lift my mood. So there. So hope it's not been too distracting. I'm sorry. I had to do something for me. So hopefully it's been, it's been fine. But anyway, yeah. So it's, if you're in New York, please stay safe. New York and New Jersey, I should say, there's a lot of flooding in New York and New Jersey. So please, guys, stay away. Don't go into flood waters, as we keep saying. Some people like to draw jumping in flood waters. Please don't go into flood waters. Bad things can happen to you in there, including getting very sick from all the pollution and all that stuff that ends up in flood water. So yeah, so this is a little bit of rare. And most of the flooding I think is more downtown, some parts of Brooklyn. I'm assuming some parts of Queens as well. It's so funny today. I was looking at, and I always like, I'm gonna move back downtown, and I always fantasize, and then I think of, wait a minute, Pedal, that's very low down there. I don't think you want to go. So I usually like erase that from my mind anytime I think, maybe I should move back downtown. It's like, no. But uptown a little bit is we're a little bit higher up. I keep saying like, we're on a hill, but if you know New York, you'd be like, hill? What hill? Yeah, I know hills in Manhattan, but we have little inclines that when you're walking up and you don't even realize until you're all the way up, and then you look back and you're like, oh, I've actually been walking up a hill. That's how the hill here works. It's not like a hill, but we are a little higher up, so we don't tend to get like floods, because it sort of just runs down. But again, it just yeah, if you are in those low-lying areas, please get to higher ground. Please don't attempt to drive through flood waters. Please, don't do it. Get out, get to higher ground, get safe. And so, yeah. But please pray for us here in New York. Please pray the great please pray that you are someone says, Pedal, isn't that a gray sweater you're wearing? Yes, that's actually a light gray sweater I'm wearing. This is more, it's kind of more closer to, I don't know, more of a whiter color. The gray for me is, it's like the dark gray, that's the dark gray clouds is what it's so funny, like, you're wearing a gray sweater. Yes, I am. But it's more the dark gray is my thing. Deb, she's like, thank you, Deb. Thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, no, it's more like the dark gray clouds is more my my struggle. It's just because yeah, this is more, it's closer to it's very light gray in the sense of it's not like when you look out, what it looks like outside when you see gray clouds. So that definitely affects my mood. And so I go very much with colors. So yeah. And it's weird because I wear if you're in New York, you're like, if you're a New Yorker, you're like, you wear a lot of black, and I wear black and I'm around black, and that doesn't seem to affect me, but it's for some reason the gray clouds. And so it's so funny. I did a piece for I wrote in my little blog that I still need to go back to, just how that's how it felt like all of COVID in New York. Even when the sun was shining, it was this dark gray. And that's how that's exactly the kind of things that it put. I don't know why. I guess, we all respond differently to things, but that's how for me, express how I feel. For me, I feel in colors, I guess. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but I do feel in colors, and I could tell you the color that I'm feeling. And when I'm down, when I say I feel gray, that's what I mean. So yeah, is a little way of going on about that. But anyways, wherever you are in the New York, New Jersey area, please, please, please stay safe. So yeah. What else is happening? And thank you, Deb89. She's like, she sticks her tongue out at me. So yeah. Let's see. Who is in the chat with us? Let's see. Fancy is here. Hello, Fancy. How are you? Nalothandu is here. Hello, Nalothandu. Joining us from South Africa. Hopefully it's nice and bright and sunshiny there. Let's see who else is here. Raffaella. Hello, Raffaella. Hello, Miss Italian friend. How are you? Let's see. And Sarah is here. And Ghislaine is here. Hello, Ghislaine. And our awesome moderator, Karen M, is here. Hello, Karen M. And who else? Sonia is here. Hello, Sonia. Let's see. Emerald. Hi, Emerald. And someone just donated. Let me find that to say thank you very much. Oh, here we go. Sandra. Hello, Sandra. Thank you for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Connie is here. Hello, Connie Mama from Switzerland. Hello. And Mama Jane and Gift Love. Church Nelly, your awesome moderator from South Carolina. Hopefully it's nicer in South Carolina than it is here in New York. Anita is here. W-E-D is here. Is it W-E-D or do you just say W-Ed? Probably W-Ed. Mad World is here. Miss September 15 is here. Hi, all. Sistren is here saying hello to everyone. And we'll say hello as we go along. Hello, John Jenkins. How are you? Donna Black and Andrea. Man, I'm so happy that you guys are all here. And hopefully some of our other friends will join us as well. So what is going on in our fave world away from the rain and the wet and the flooding that's going on outside? What else is happening in the world of our faves? Well, there's actually been a couple of stuff, and it's so weird. It's like I got so distracted today with the weather and then with our sad little man's drama that I was just like, how did I let that distract me from some stuff going on with our faves? And so, but before we even get to that, I can't get over these pictures. They're just so fun. Someone on Twitter mentioned the picture on the left. No matter what is going on and whatever Harry says, for some reason, he's always able to make Meghan crack up laughing. And it's just like, even if she's the only one laughing, how is like she loves her man. Whatever he says is funny to her, and of course the picture on the right, as we know, from last weekend. I can't get over these pictures. They're just so wonderful. And so I was like, oh. And the one on the right is it's actually one that I hadn't seen before. And so I saw it yesterday when I was putting this together because I didn't do a podcast yesterday. So I put this together late yesterday, and it's like, oh, I love this new photo with Oprah and Ellen and the Sussexes and Portia. And I think that's a fire chief or somebody like that, someone said. So don't know, but I think that's who that is. But it's awesome. So, and our fave, as we know, is with SmartWorks, as she's been since she's, I think was it the first year as a royal, and she was with SmartWorks. Actually, I think did she start with them before she got married, or she was probably researching with them before she got married? But for her entire time as a royal, she has been with SmartWorks, and obviously, after she's left, she remained with SmartWorks, and they are happy to have her. And as we know, I love this photo. That was when she did the capsule collection with them. That was really, really awesome. And so it was their 10th year anniversary yesterday. And so it was really cool to see, of course, whatever is going on with them, Meghan is always there. She's always supporting them. She's always, I mean, she's just, I remember, I think it was last year or earlier this year, they did this study, for the women, to just basically, just I guess, to see where they are, how and to see, basically track the effectiveness of their work. And it was really cool reading through it. And so, yeah, so hopefully you guys had a chance to look at it. But this is what SmartWorks, celebrating their 10-year anniversary. Meghan said, it says, as part of our 10th anniversary celebration, we're delighted to share a message from our patron, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, thanking SmartWorks community for everything they do to help unemployed women in need. Congratulations to the entire SmartWorks community on 10 incredible years of transforming lives for the last decade. You have made an indelible mark on the women across the UK who have walked into your doors in need of more than just an outfit. They need someone to believe in them, and as I've said before, you provide much more than a handout. At SmartWorks, you provide a handheld. Over the years, I have seen firsthand of the unforgettable smile that comes across a woman's face when she receives a SmartWorks experience of care, inspiration, and empowerment. Something changes for her in that moment and sets her on a path that she may never have thought possible. At SmartWorks, you are investing in the future of women and, as a result, the world. As I am so grateful to all of you who make this work possible each and every day, celebrating you from across the pond and wishing you another amazing decade. So I'm assuming she'll be with SmartWorks forever. But it's really nice for her to, and again, it's their 10th year anniversary. So not surprising, I guess, that she will definitely be a part of that. So kudos to SmartWorks and the work that they're doing. I don't know. I always think about this. I mean, I don't know. Is there like an equivalent to SmartWorks in the US? I don't know. I mean, maybe there is, and I keep thinking about it, and I keep forgetting to ask, or because I've looked around, but I haven't seen like an equivalent like that do specifically what SmartWorks. It might not be the same name, but I don't know that we have. So yeah, if you guys know of one, let me know, because I've always thought about it, and like, if not, we need one, yeah. So maybe there are, and it just goes by a different name. That could be it as well. So if you guys know of any let me know. Sylvia says, the day beautiful Meghan rolled out the SmartWorks capsule collection was so exciting. I can remember how Tina and the squaddies were as we were buying the purses and the clothes. Yes. And it's so funny. I do have, I have 3 things. One of them I don't even know what happened to it. But I got the bag, and I was trying to get the brown one. And by the time I went, that one was sold out. So I got the black one, and I got the blue dress thing and the white shirt from Amisha Nonu. And I don't even know what happened to that shirt. I never even wore it, and I don't even know what I did with it. So, but I do have, and I still use the bag and the dress. And so, yeah. But I remember that day too. That bag went. I mean, by the time the event happened, she had announced that it was already sold out. We just went after that bag. So, but And I love the bag. The only thing, my only thing is like it, because it's open, so there's nothing to close the bag, so it's just kind of open. But that's the only thing that I'm like, oh, I wish it had like a zipper or something like that. But it doesn't. But yeah, anyway. Oh, Amaka is saying, in the US it's called Dress for Success. Oh, okay. You see? I always kept forgetting to ask. And so, see, the moment you ask, you get an answer. So I will check it out. Dress for Success. Okay. I figured there had to be something, and I just couldn't figure out what the organization was called, or didn't know where to find it. So thank you. See, ask and it shall be given. So thank you, Amaka. Trying to see if it's in New York. Oh, it's in Queens. Joan says Dress for Success, Queens, New York. There you go. Okay. Am I the only one who didn't know that? Sherry, see, Sherry also is Dress for Success. Wow. I think I'm probably the only person who didn't know that. So thank you. And also today, and again, I was so distracted with the flood stuff going on, and also with Dan Wootton's mess, which we'll get to in a bit. That another thing dropped for the Sussexes today, and I meant to. I was like, okay, I'm gonna add this, and then I got to reading that whole thing because Byline Investigates brought out a new article today, and I was just like, distracted reading it, that I forgot to do this part. So the Sussexes has teamed up with this organization in Australia to fund a research. It says an online hate speech in Australia, the role of news media and pathways for change. So there's this whole study going on in Australia that the Sussexes helped to fund. I'm assuming other organizations are part of it as well. It says online hate speech is a particularly visible and toxic element of social division. It fosters the negative targeting of communities, diminish people's well-being, erodes social cohesion, and is linked to violence, as well as knee-jerk counterproductive policy design. Within our complex and evolving information ecosystem, news media institutions have enormous power to influence the public's discussion and catalyze online activity. For this reason, they require special attention and accountability when it comes to online hate. In this two-part study, we explore the roles that the news media institution plays in the spread and escalation of online hate speech in Australia. Our research has produced practical examples and analysis to support policymakers, community advocates, and news media practitioners, technologists, and other stakeholders working to reduce these harms. And it goes on. So I'm going to put a link in our community page, or the show notes of this, so you can go ahead and read the article. And of course, the Sussexes would know, again, even, especially Meghan, who has been the target, especially in the UK. One of our squaddies posted that just about every single day, and we've seen it online. The news media, some news outlet posts horrendous things about Meghan, lies, manipulations, just outright hate, abusive things about Meghan especially. And so, and it's funny that they're doing this in Australia because, Rupert Murdoch and his outlet basically started there. So, and we've seen the effects, and we talk about the effects, especially of Rupert Murdoch in Australia, the UK, and the US, and how not only has it damaged our democracies, it has really destroyed what is acceptable for, to be on television, whether it's fake news, the lies, the abuse, all of that stuff. And it's just put it there. And now it's like normal for abuse, where everybody, as we've seen the last couple of days with the white girl, Ava, who, Dan Wootton and his ilks were, having this misogynistic conversations about her, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you can't do that. That's terrible. You're suspended. You're suspended. You're suspended." When all of these things, you're fired. But yet, for the last 7 years, they have been abusing Meghan, and nobody said a word. And even when, for example, Jeremy Clarkson got barely a slap on the wrist, they're all up in their arms about, all up about, oh, they're trying to destroy free speech and all of that stuff. They couldn't even find it within themselves to, very few of them found it, when Jeremy Clarkson did their things like, oh, that's wrong, whatever. But look at how despicable it had to get for a lot of them to even say anything. And then all of a sudden it just goes away, and they have, again, you could say, okay, GB News is on the fringes and it's right wing and it's not even news, whatever. But then how do you explain GMB and This Morning and all the other shows, Lorraine and all the other shows that on a daily basis do the same exact thing, and in this, especially trying to destroy Meghan. And so it's just, I look forward to reading through, and again, because I got distracted, I didn't get a chance to read through the whole study. And but it's good to see, that they are really not allowing or not letting this go. Not for me, not that you need a study. I mean, Chris Boozy did a whole, he did a whole thing on that, and all of these news outlets, I'm sure, got that report where, and it shows specifically, I mean, from whether it's articles or their social media, especially Twitter feed, of hate that they have instigated, and then of course their trolls online just sort of take it and run with it. I mean, just about all the reporters, the right-wing reporters in the UK, are guilty of this. So they can all be like, oh, Dan Wootton this and Lawrence Fox this, but every single one of them, like today, we've all been tweeting back at Jeremy Klein, who is, going after one of the GB News reporters. And it's like, but your show does the same exact thing. You stir up hate every single day on the Sussexes. So where do you get off trying to, where do you get off trying to go after someone else when you are the same? So it just, and again, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can read it. But it's very, very, it's really sickening, And so, but it's good that to see the Sussexes, they talked about it in their docuseries. Harry's talked about it in his book, and they are. Hopefully people, from this research, at least in Australia, they'll pay attention, because it is a vile there as well. It's equally as vile. I mean, it's, like they said, it's sport to them now. Attacking the Sussexes, especially, is sport. And you can just see the glee on their faces as they're doing it. And it's sickening. And so hopefully something comes out of it. I don't know. I absolutely don't know. So yeah. But let's see. So again, me being distracted, I forgot to bring it in. What is this you're talking about, NBC? What is this? That may explain why William has attached himself to Lee Thompson, who used to work for NBC, is because Meghan's connection to NBC. I have no idea what this is about. So I don't know. I saw NBC. I was like, what? And William and Lee Thompson. I don't know. If you don't know, Lee Thompson is the new press secretary, the secretary for William. So who, yes, used to work for NBC, one of their affiliates things. So anyways, let's see what else is happening. This happened a couple of days ago. If you're on social media, if you are on Instagram, and if you follow the Suits or any of their Meghan's co-stars on Suits, so one of Meghan's co-stars was kind of up in his feelings a little bit about, getting a little bit nostalgic, and this is him here. Patrick, and he played Meghan's boyfriend or love interest on the show, whatever. And so over the weekend, he kind of got all up in his feelings and he started posting photos. And he, about of Meghan, and I guess that's Sarah Rafferty, who was on the show as well. And so he was like missing the show, and he's posting, and of course, all the fans of Suits are really excited about it, and they're really like, oh, everybody was just so excited. And apparently, I'm not sure if these photos were new photos. I hadn't followed Suits, so I don't know what's new and what's, I guess what's, people know and they don't know, or what they've seen and not seen with Suits. But some one of these photos they said is as never before seen. I'm not sure which one. But so yeah, he was just really feeling nostalgic. And so people actually even reported, says the first photo showed Meghan and Rafferty, or Sarah Rafferty, in an office on a set where Sarah sat in the couch, Meghan laid on the floor with her feet up on the cabinet. And he along with the photo, he wrote, "I miss my friends." And then the second photo is at the bottom, and then the little one with the rain with Meghan, that's her with an umbrella, a clear umbrella over her head. He said, the well is deep. And then he posted other photos with other people in the cast as well. So he was all up in his feelings, missing his family. And I think, with the show just being talked about so much, and obviously it's still number one, and, it's all over the place. And so he was just, feeling a bit nostalgic, and so was posting about it. And like I said, Suits fans were loving it. And, they want to be all up in it, but because, what's going on, they haven't. So the cast and the crew hadn't really been promoting it. So when that happened over the weekend, so this happened, because I think that picture got a little bit crazy there. But then a couple days ago, was yesterday, Variety tweeted, Suits actor Patrick J. Adams issued an apology on Instagram after he was accused of breaking SAG strike rules for posting behind-the-scenes photos from the show, which has become a streaming blockbuster over the last couple of months after making its Netflix debut. Many of these Suits set photos featured Adams' former co-star Meghan Markle. The last couple of days and so this is what he is on his Instagram. He says, the last couple of days, I foolishly and thoughtlessly let a trip down Suits memory lane distract me from the real life ongoing fight everyone in SAG-AFTRA continues to wage in its efforts to win our membership realistic 21st century compensation and protection, Adams wrote. It was an embarrassing oversight for which I am incredibly sorry. He added, so grateful to those who gently and swiftly course-corrected me here, and I look forward to continuing the fight in a few days and weeks ahead. SAG-AFTRA strong. So I guess probably one of his castmates or someone lovingly corrected his, and snapped him out of his daydreams and reminiscing about his co-stars. And as he said, quickly course corrected him. So yeah, because again, when you're striking, it's against SAG rules to be promoting your show. And even though for him it wasn't promoting the show, at least for him and how he was thinking, it wasn't about promoting the show. It was just like reminiscing and just really missing his co-stars, and then not realizing like, oh wait, that's considered promoting the show. Because again, if the show wasn't on, then it would be fine, nobody would care. But because the show is number one show, that's not cool, because it is, it could be seen as promoting the show, which is so unfortunate. It is so unfortunate because it's doing so well, and I'm sure the actors are dying to promote it, because again, look at, it wasn't as popular. Even though it was popular, it was definitely not as popular then as it is popular now. This is where, as an actor, you feel like, whoa, finally we're getting the attention that we deserve such a long time ago. Finally, people are just really gung-ho as we wanted them to be. And we can't even promote it. We can't even get the full credit. You know what I mean? We can't even go out and do interviews and promote our upcoming work and all of those things. We can't even talk about each other on social media without it being like, you're promoting the show. And it's so unfortunate. So I'm hoping that the strike ends before, Suits start slipping. um and so that the actors could really enjoy this time, and again that they get the money that they deserve. Hopefully the strike, by the time it ends, that they are able to get, and that they can backdate the money that they really deserve from the time, what is it, June 16th, when it got dropped on Netflix, that they can backdate whatever residuals they're supposed to have from back then, and get the money they deserve, because they deserve it. So I know that the Writers Guild, they have already settled their contract, and I guess they're probably back to work. And now I know SAG, they are talking, which is a good thing. They are talking with the studio, so hopefully, for the actor's sake, that they can go back and, that they can get that done quickly, and everybody could be back to work. And so I just kind of feel bad, because if you look on his page, everybody's like, don't, because he was apologizing, and everybody's like, don't apologize, you didn't do anything wrong, you were just reminiscing, because all fans are just really appreciated him, just, going back down memory lane. And again, this whole thing is just so unfortunate that they're not getting the compensation that's due them. And then it's also affecting this, that, I mean, hello, so sorry, Patrick. I kind of felt bad for him too. So yeah, but it's just really sad, this whole situation. So hopefully it ends soon, that the cast, they definitely deserve the residuals. I mean, the show is wonderful and everybody loves it, and the fact that they have to be silent when this is when they should be out there, like, finally getting the accolades. They're finally getting the accolades they deserve, and that they have to be silent. And it's just so unfair, So Teresa says, Donna Black, it's wonderful to see the closeness among the Suits cast. Yes, it is. That they're still friends and stuff. So yeah. Sylvia says, Suits is really a good show. It truly deserves an award. The show was popular on the USA channel. Yeah, it was, but definitely not at the level that it is now. This is just, oh my goodness, it's just like, even, well, we'll get to that in 1 second, but yeah. Let's see. Oh, Dolores from our story, what we talked about a minute ago. There are still millions of people who don't know outside Britain of Meghan being abused and bullied and lied about for 365 days for 6 years. And 2,190 days in the tabloids, with leaks from the royal family. Yeah, there are a lot of people who don't know, and a lot of people who don't want to know. Some people don't want to believe it, even though they read it. They will try to spin it in whatever way to make Meghan at fault for something. And yeah, it's really sickening. And again, the reaction with this girl for something, again, yes, it should not have been done, and what was said about her, it was really reprehensible and should not have been done. But compare that to the hate that they have, I mean, including wanting people to literally harm her and her family on that same outlet. Nobody said a word about it. Nobody said a word about those things. And so much, they have done so much worse to Meghan, and they have just like, oh, well, it's normal. So yeah, it's really, really, really sickening. So yeah, Rafaela says, back to Suits. The cast of Suits love Queen Meghan. They do. They really love each other. That is one thing you could tell, that they really love and respect each other. So it's really wonderful. Let's see what else I got. And yeah, talk about Suits being number one. Obviously, here it is again. And it's so funny. I read this little piece from Variety. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly how I've been saying it the last few weeks. That Suits has been number one, because it's as I'm just move myself out of the way there. It's been number one every week. So right now it says, this is what Variety says: surprising no one, Suits is the number one title on Nielsen's weekly streaming ranking for August, the end of August, September, because again, Nielsen is tracking back from, backwards, basically. with 2.5 billion minutes watched, this is the 11th week in a row that the long concluded USA Network drama has taken the top position thanks to its addition to Netflix in June. If Suits land at the top next week, which looks likely, it will beat Ozark and become the show with the highest number of first place finishes. Regardless, the series is still nearly doubling the viewership of the competition. And again, the competition, a lot of them are new shows coming in, and still Suits is number one. I'm telling you again, which makes what happened with Patrick so sad, because again, if I was an actor on that show, I'm like, come on, this is, I mean, I want to celebrate this. I want to, you know what I mean? I can't imagine the frustration, and not at SAG or anything, but a frustration at the situation that the studios have created to put the actors in, and the creators in such a position where they can't even publicly celebrate this. This is something you want to celebrate. This is something you want to do, and that's what makes it so sad. And that's why people were like, no, Patrick, please don't apologize. We love what you were sharing. And the fans are like, come on, people, get this strike up, over, so we can all celebrate with them. So yeah, and I know fans of Suits are longing to celebrate with the actors, and this it's just frustrating that the creators are put in these positions by the different studios. It's really sad. So anyways, but the good news is that Suits remain at number one. It's it's coming down from the over 3 billion watch minutes. It's 2.5 billion, so there you go. Suits is doing great. What else is happening? Spare, as usual. Prince Harry's Spare currently is at 696,280. This is for print, not the online versions. For bestseller of the year. So it sold that many for bestseller of the year. A position the Duke of Sussex claimed in January and has held since. So I'm telling you, I don't see any other book beating Spare for the number one book of the year. I mean, this is just the print version of it. So I don't see another book beating it. And I am really hoping that Spare gets the prize for literature, for the Nobel Prize for Literature, or Nobel Peace Prize for the Invictus Games. One or the other, I don't care. I'm hoping and praying that they have been paying attention. And what is this bit at the top there that I highlighted? It says fiction. Osmond maintains satanic hold on the chart. I was like, what does that mean? I gotta go and figure out who this Osmond is and why they put satanic hold. I mean, is this book about Satan? I don't know. I was just like, that's weird and interesting. And it's so cool because it's great to see that some of the athletes, at least this athlete from our team Nigeria, is reading Spare, because he tweeted actually about Spare yesterday. He says Prince Harry's book Spare offers a candid reflection on his life as a royal and his decision to step back from the monarchy. It delves into his personal journey, mental health struggles, and commitment to service. And it's great. I was like, I love that people are still discovering, still reading Spare. And by the way, I have a copy, the hardcover copy. So the print copy here, if anybody doesn't have Spare and need a copy of Spare, let me know. I could send it to you. One of my friends gave it to me, but I already have the audio and the Kindle version. So if someone doesn't have it and they've never had one and like one, I could send it to you. So yeah. So it's, hey. So yeah. Dolores says, I can't understand why The Heart of Invictus isn't higher on Netflix. Well, as we've talked about before, The Heart of Invictus is a different beast, tackling a different thing. A lot of people don't like or are afraid or get a little bit, not so afraid, but uncomfortable with shows like this or documentaries like this, because a lot of people are going through and they don't like talking about it, they don't like seeing it. So it is a very much a documentary where sometimes people run away from, and so we can't expect it to be, for example, some people like, oh, it didn't do as well as Harry and Meghan docu-series. Very different things. The Heart of Invictus is very raw, very real, very, very there in your face almost. And so it is uncomfortable. And again, dealing with war and war trauma, a lot of people don't like to deal with stuff like that. They like and not saying everyone, but some people, they want the parade, they want to, like, yeah, our soldiers, but they don't like to see the realities of war and what soldiers really go through. They would support, like, be at the games and, yeah, we support you. But again, seeing the day to day of people struggling through, like, that's shown in the Heart of Invictus, a lot of people don't like that. They don't, and not that they don't like it, because it's uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable viewing, so I totally understand why it's not as high as, the same. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping as more and more people discover it, but it's never going to have the kind of numbers. And I don't think Harry or the directors or producers would ever, assume that it would have, say, the numbers of Harry and Meghan docu-series, because it's two totally different beasts. So yeah. But yeah, so I'm hoping people are watching it and learning from it. That's the most you can can hope. So yeah, and supporting, at least becoming more aware of what happens and what happens to the men and women out there. So yeah. And I'm hoping too that the games would give it some even more publicity, that more people would at least be curious to see what's going on. Let's see. Sylvia says, Patrick knows how to defend Meghan. Patrick set the royal family on fire when they accused Meghan of the false charge of bullying. Oh, yes, I remember that. He wrote a thread that was just like, whoa. He went after them. And rightly so. He rightly went after them. So, yeah. Let's see. Maverick says season 8 of Suits is not on Netflix, and I thought I was done at the end. Season 8 should be there. I know the season they said that's not there is season. Oh, she corrected. Season 9. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, season 9. Peacock, who tweets about them all the time, they always brag that they are the only ones with the season 9. So if you have Peacock or have access to it, that is where you'll find season 9. Netflix only has 8. So, Gwendolyn says, Petal, are you flooding in New York? We were thinking about you, New Yorkers. Yeah, I mean, it's flooding downtown. I think where I am, there's not. I mean, there's a lot of rain and it's very dark, as I said, hating the dark gray out here. It's been raining since all yesterday, and all of today. Raining harder at some points, lighter at some points, but it is still raining. And but up here where I am, it's not flooding, because we're, again, kind of on a the New York version of a hill. I have to say, the New York version of a hill. It's not really a hill, it's just a little incline, but we're higher, and so we don't get like flooding up here, because again, it's on a New York version of a hill. So there. But more lower Manhattan, it always gets flooded down there. And if we get a big hurricane, then they have to deal with the river that's like right there on river level, which I don't know why we have not fixed that yet. It's just like, it's crazy. But yeah. Gift Love says Nobel Prize, please. Yes, I totally agree. Yeah. Donna Black says, I hate Donna says, I hate the heart of Invictus is not being recognized like it should be, but it still might be recognized for an award because it's a good docuseries. That would be great. And also, too, I mean, look, the Sussexes can promote it. It was promoted to the Invictus Games, but they do, when they have remember they have a website, they can be promoting it. So they haven't, since it came out, there was nothing on their website that with it at all. So they can also do that as well. So I'm gonna put that on them as well. I mean, I don't know that they may not want to do any interviews because, again, you can't some new, other than say Gail King on CBS. I honestly don't trust any other outlets for them to do interview on, but they can. There's nothing stopping Harry from promoting it and talking about it, and maybe they can also do what Gabe did. They can also have more stuff. And if Harry doesn't want to do an interview, have Gabe do it, because Gabe was amazing when he did it. He did it for CBS, and so there's nothing stopping it. So I think putting it out there and keep putting it out there in front of the public is what could be done. Because, again, it is one of those things where you put it there, a lot of people would run because people don't like to deal with stuff like that a lot of times. But yeah, so they can do that to promote it as well. So it hasn't been promoted as much as I feel like it could have been. So hopefully they do. They and Netflix decide to do that. That would be good. Yeah. I feel the same. If Harry doesn't deserve it, I don't know who does. That's not to say people around the world are doing a lot of great things, so look, whoever gets it, I'm sure they deserve it. But I feel like Harry really does deserve that. So yeah. So I hope they are looking at it, because I've been following the Nobel Prize, and every minute I look around, they post something else about the upcoming announcements, which is going to be next month as of tomorrow. So we'll see. What else is happening? We have been donating, obviously, to Sentebale, and Sentebale give the squad a little bit of a shout out through the Sussex community. So they have started. It says Positive Chill podcast has landed last month. Let You Lead Advocates in Botswana presented the first episode of the Positive Chill Spot. So they're doing a podcast. And so Sentebale further said, they tweeted all about it. It says the podcast aimed to create a safe space for young people affected by HIV/AIDS to share their untold stories and speak freely about their experiences, relationships, views on policies, cultural norm, and much more. Episode 2 is coming soon. And then they go on to say the funds raised for our community. The funds raised from our community of supporters from around the world, like the Sussex Events or the Sussex Community Events Network, who recently raised more than $64,000 for our work, makes initiative like these possible. So kudos. So this is part of what I guess the $64,000 that the Sussex squad, all our squaddies, and it was the Sussex squad community events. They were the one that set up the fundraiser, and so this is some of what the money is going to. That these kids are now doing a podcast, and that is awesome, and whatever else they're doing. So this is, again, part of their Let Kids Lead or Let Youth Lead. So yeah, it is wonderful to see that they're doing stuff. The kids are out there. I mean, for me, they're kids, but they're like, we're young people, not kids. They're doing their stuff. And so very excited. So thank you, all of you who were part of donating to, in whatever way you donated to the Sentebale fundraiser. So absolutely wonderful. And it's called the Positive Chill Spot. I was like, oh, very cool. I like that name. So yeah. Very, very cool. So from this wonderful news, we go across the pond, and we know what's happening across the pond. This is why I was a little distracted earlier, So we talked about the last episode with Dan Wootton, and Oh, thank you, Black Queen, our awesome moderator, who is 8 months as a part of this Two Cents crew. Oh my gosh, thank you for your support. It's like Pedal Darius and all squaddies. You rock. Sclosses Squad for life. Thank you, Black Queen, our awesome moderator. Thank you. Thank you for your support, man. I appreciate it in every way. Thank you. Um, so, oh my goodness, and she donated. Oh my Lord. Black Queen, thank you so much. I'm like, wow. Thank you. Huge hugs to you. Huge rainy New York hug. But thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Talk about you rock. You rock, woman. So I thank you. So back to this. So we talked about, Dan Wootton a couple days ago getting suspended by GB News for obviously his mess. As we know what happened with him and Lawrence Fox. And we talked about Lawrence Fox basically outing Dan Wootton, and because they were like, oh my gosh, we're sorry, this is not who we are and all that stuff. And then Lawrence Fox, as we mentioned the last time, and as you know, basically outed Dan Wootton for lying because they were laughing about it after. And then also Lawrence Fox also tweeted that GB News and Dan Wootton knew exactly what he was going to say because they do the pre-interview. So all of that came out. So Lawrence Fox basically then went on to, basically tweeted this. He says, just so we're clear, I would rather scrub toilets for the rest of my life, the rest of my days, and retain my dignity. Basically, I am not apologizing. I would rather scrub toilets. And I've made millions over the years, and I gave it up to fight a battle I didn't want to fight. So if you think that some half-baked pylon is going to stop me, think again. I am truly free. So he tweeted that. And then I guess he probably realized, like, oh, wait a minute. I better maybe apologize or explain myself because I'm basically making myself unemployable. And so then yesterday he posted this long, in the middle, there's this long, it was so long and rambling. I was like, I can't even. It's like a wasted 15 minutes of my life listening to Lawrence Fox ramble on about, basically what happened. And basically he just pretty much reiterated that, what happened in that Dan Wootton and and GB News knew exactly what he was going to say. And basically he said the reason why he basically outed Dan Wootton is because when Dan Wootton was going through his mess, when Byline Time started reporting on Dan Wootton's, sexually deviant behavior, Lawrence Fox said that he was right there supporting Dan Wootton, and then basically gave Dan Wootton, I guess made his self available to Dan to support him in every way, and also support him in a legal way, I guess, maybe having his lawyers and stuff available to Dan to help Dan and basically be there with him. And he just felt like when Dan decided to his lying so-called apology, basically withdrawing himself away from Lawrence Fox and saying, I didn't know what he was going to do and all that stuff, he felt like Dan was definitely being disloyal, and for him disloyalty is a no-no. So that's why he outed them. And so he also said on his little rambling thing that he expects today, Friday, that he and Dan Wootton will be fired. Now, I was kind of, keeping my ear to see if that's something that's gonna happen at GB News. Some people are saying yes, he's gonna be fired. I don't know. I haven't heard GB News say that he's gonna be fired. Right now, they're both suspended, but that's what he said on this little rambling thing, that he expects by today, or at least by the end of today, UK time, I guess, that he and Dan Wootton will be fired. And so a part of this rambling stuff is him apologizing to Ava for what he said, because the day before he was like, no, I'd rather scrub toilets and retain my dignity. I'm not apologizing. And then again, the next day, I guess he realized, like, oh, I better do that because nobody would hire me. This is Meghan Markle I am disrespecting. This is a white woman with blonde hair. And you know how society, as we can see how they all jump to, to rescue Ava, because she doesn't have black blood, so he realized like, oh, this is serious. I better do something because they won't forgive me because I just offended a white woman with blonde hair, again, the racism of it all. And so he went on and apologized and then explained, like, that he was angry at Ava because he felt like, whatever her comments were in the past, that she was hating of men. And so he was going back at her because he feels like she hates men and all that kind of stuff. And so he felt like he was just, he said like he's still angry at her, but he apologized. He should not have said that. Talk about going back. And so this is a little bit, Fox, I'm sorry, Sky News, like Lawrence Fox apologizes to Ava Evans over comments on GB News. Lawrence Fox's apology came after media regulators Ofcom launched a formal investigation into GB News after it received thousands of complaints about his comments on the Dan Wootton show on Tuesday. So yeah, I guess he realized like, I better apologize. I better, eat my words because I'm literally making myself unemployable. While they will forgive him and not even deal with when, if they go after Meghan, oh no, he just went after a white woman with blonde hair. Oh no. they don't forgive that one. Yes. Yes. And so when that happened, obviously, Pop B, and I had to put their name because it's their thing. I don't say the word, but they put out an article. It's just giving a little bit of a insight into what went on at GB News. As you can see that picture over there of Dan Wootton quietly reflecting about his career that's literally going down the toilet. Obviously that was a picture of him faking, paying tribute to the Queen. And there was a whole really fake video that he put out that everyone sort of mocked him and then he eventually take down. So right now we're just applying that to his career that's going down the toilet or being buried. So Joanne says, Lawrence Fox's apology wasn't really an apology. They never are. They never are. But, in terms of, you always want to put the quote unquote. The quote unquote, yes. So this is what they said a little bit about what went down at GB News as Lawrence Fox and Dan Wootton were in the air. It says Dan and out, ignoring is bliss. Dan Wootton's dramatic downfall these past 48 hours has drawn some fitting comparisons to Al Capone going down for tax evasion. All of a sudden, he's persona non grata at GB News. Not because of the multiple well-sourced allegations of serious sexual misconduct and workplace harassment that have clouded him for months, but because he sat grinning gormlessly, and they kind of went a little bit, I had to put that out, as one of his guests delivered a hugely sexist rant unchecked. However, there was a little more going on behind the scenes. Even though on screen he might have looked hopelessly out of his depth, the reason Wootton has incurred the wrath of his boss is because he was repeatedly and actively ignoring multiple management commands. From the start of Fox's rant, the voice in Dan Wootton's earpiece was telling him to stop Fox, to push back and apologize, but he tuned it out. Then one of the senior bards drafted an apology for him to read after the item, and he skipped past it on the auto cue. Then the top brass were on the phone to the studio insisting that Dan apologize on air, and he just didn't. So basically, he was ignoring them. And like this whole thing is, you think about the situation that Dan Wootton is in. He's had months of these things coming at him, all these allegations from Byline Times, all of this stuff coming out, not just from Byline Times, from The Guardian, all of them. Yes, much of the mainstream press has ignored it, but he was basically, you would think if you're in that situation and you know that they're coming after you and there's so much more to be released about him, you would at least be a little bit careful, right? And here he is, he doesn't care. He does not care. Dan Wootton just assumed he's untouchable. And I have to believe it's because he most likely have stuff on a lot of these people. So he can feel like, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore them. And as Lawrence tweeted and outed him, is that they were both laughing about the segments. Ooh, there's gonna, their heads are gonna spin. They were all laughing about it. He didn't care. And so for me, it's just like, yeah, it's just like he just in his mind, he's untouchable. And you know what? As we said, a few episodes ago, when the MP asked GB News, are you investigating? They arrogantly was like, no, we're not going to do anything. They're like, no, we're not investigating it. So I can understand why Dan Wootton is this arrogant and just ignore them. They can't do anything to him. And that's what he's feeling. So yeah, all of it is like he ignored them. And so that's why I guess they're saying that's a part of why they suspended him. And again, he's just suspended. He's not fired, at least not yet. And so obviously, after that, then we got word that the Daily Mail decided to can him. And so Pierre reported Mail Online has terminated the contracts of columnist Dan Wootton, a spokesman for the news site parent company said. Dan Wootton's Mail Online column has been terminated following his suspension from GB News over remarks about a female journalist made by Lawrence Fox on the broadcaster show. The 40-year-old has written a regular column on the online outlet since 2021, but it was paused in August while the publication investigated allegations he used a pseudonym and offered colleagues money for sexual material. Wootton previously said that he made errors of judgment in the past, but branded the criminal allegation as simply untrue. On Thursday, the parent company of Mail Online said that it had decided to terminate Wootton's column and contract. A spokesperson for DMG said, following events this week, DMG Media can confirm that Dan Wootton's freelance column with Mail Online, which was already being paused, has now been terminated along with his contract. And you're like, you have to believe, looking at this stuff, it's kind of like, okay, they were just waiting for something like this because, it's, with all the allegations against Dan Wootton and all the reasons why they can't, this is the reason they're like, okay, that's enough. He was giggling and mocking, and while, Lawrence Fox was being misogynistic. So this is the thing. This is, the straw that broke the camel back. He's gone. We are canning him, and even though, when he was first suspended, Byline Times had reported that, many there and others have said many there has, they assumed that Dan Wootton wouldn't be back because a lot of the people at Mail Online did not want him back. They wanted him gone. And I'm like, you imagine how cesspool you have to be canned like this from the Daily Mail. Or Mail Online, their sister outlet. You have to be just like, how gross do you have to be? That you have to admit to yourself that the Mail Online, the cesspool Mail Online fired you. It's just like, oh my gosh, it is unbelievable, so they have now gotten rid of him. And it's very interesting because I thought, when they said that they would investigate, I literally didn't believe them. I literally did not believe that they were doing any kind of investigation. I did not believe it because part of it, he was under contract, so they still had to pay him even though they suspended his column. I just didn't believe that they would investigate. I did not. But lo and behold, apparently they did. And Byline Times had a whole article about it. And these are some of what Byline Times said about it. It says Dan Wootton's £250,000 a year Mail Online contract. That's right. Mail Online was paying Dan Wootton $250,000 a year to basically attack the Sussexes because that's mostly what he wrote about, And I was like, are you serious? So imagine if they're paying him that, how much they paid Piers Morgan when Piers Morgan was writing for them. It is unbelievable. But anyway, he was getting paid £250,000 a year He had at least a £250,000 a year mail online contract has been terminated following his suspension by GB News over the Lawrence Fox misogyny storm, as new details emerge of an investigation into his conduct while writing for the website. In a film statement this evening, Fox claimed he provided Wootton with moral support and helped him to set up the crowdfunder. That's right. So Lawrence Fox helped him to set up the crowdfunder following Byline Times attacks, as they claim, on him, which had left the presenter in hot water. Fox said that Wootton distanced himself from his comments about Miss Evans after their exchange was aired, and was therefore disloyal. So that's what Lawrence Fox is saying. That's why he outed Wootton. A source close to the matter, this is another clip. It says, a source close to the matter told Byline Times, it has been clear internally ever since Dan's column was suspended that he would not be returning to Mail Online, although there were contractual obligations to observe, which meant due process of investigation had to be undertaken. As part of its wider probe, this newspaper can reveal how top DMG lawyers, or Mail Online lawyers, and editorial decision makers spoke to at least one of the celebrities Wootton targeted with overtures of explicit sexual images. Goes on to say the newspaper understand that Wootton was summoned to a meeting with DMG chiefs and asked for his account of events, and that he denied the truth of some of the elements of Byline Times investigation and refused to discuss others. And it says this newspaper further understands that Wootton requested additional financial support from DMG when we started exposing him on the 17th of July. And so, yeah, Dan Wootton, so Daily Mail, I mean, I eat my words. I didn't think that they would even do any investigation at all. I thought they would just let it blow over and then bring him back. But apparently they did. They had a law firm coming and other people come in and as they say, they talked to some of the people that Byline Times who contributed to Byline Times articles. And then they also brought in Dan Wootton to hear, well, what's your side? And as they said, some things he claimed wasn't true, and then the other things he refused to discuss. And obviously that did not impress the Mail Online people at all. And also he was asking them, I guess, for a raise or from extra money to, I guess, take care of his legal fees. But apparently they were like, not only do you have this, you also have a $600,000 pound gig with GB News. So they weren't feeling that at all. And so that all plays a part into getting rid of him. And so, it's very, again, it's very interesting that with all of this stuff. So we're going to see. I mean, they at least Mail Online can be like, we did our part, and look, credit to them. They did their part. I mean, it's the least they can do, after paying him $250,000, where he was always trying to destroy the Sussexes, so at least they could say, well, we did our part in that. So we await GB News to see what GB News was, if they're going to go ahead and fire him. And so this all happened yesterday. And then this happened today. And as you know, we've talked about Calvin Robinson here for a minute when we were talking about those people blackfacing. He was one at GB News. Calvin is biracial, and according to Calvin and the Nanas of the world and the Dominiques of the world, all of whom are in GB News, basically gatekeeping for white supremacy, claiming there's no racism and all the other stuff, and attacking the Black community. Yep, that's Calvin. So Calvin, who is also a fake priest. It's just like, I don't even know what Calvin thinks he's doing. But Calvin, the fake priest, decided, you know what? I am going to sound the trumpet and support Dan Wootton. So Calvin went ahead yesterday and he posted this long thing. And this is just part of it. I was like, I'm not reading all that stuff from Calvin. So Calvin decided, I'm going to go and I'm going to blow my trumpet in support of Dan Wootton. He's like, and so Calvin decided, because he appears on Dan Wootton's show a lot, and they do, oh goodness, Anyways, this is what some of what Calvin had to say. He says, I will not be appearing on Dan Wootton tonight without Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton had a significant part to play in building GB News. He invited me along pre-launch, and he also brought so many people on board behind the cameras as well as on-screen talent, including the careerist, ambitious ones who are currently gunning for his job. These people are worse than the woke mob because these vultures are giving the mob ammunition and essentially escalating the channel's demise. We fail as a community to stand up for Mark Steyn, and if we let them do the same to Dan, it's over. The channel will be on borrowed time. We will be the next on the firing line. And then he, it's a whole lot more Calvin had to say. I mean, he went there. It's like, how dare you not stand up? How dare? GB News is going to be on borrowed time if we don't stand up for Dan. That's what he was preaching yesterday. And then there's this. And then this happened today. It's like, Calvin Robinson has become the third GB News presenter to be suspended in the last 3 days as the channel struggles to contain fallout from the misogynistic comments made by Lawrence Fox. Robinson, a regular presenter on the right-wing TV channel, issued a statement on Friday expressing solidarity with the suspended Dan Wootton, declaring, "Stand up for Dan is standing up for the very idea of GB News. If he falls, we all fall." 2 hours later, Robinson also fell. With GB News confirming he had joined Fox and Wootton in suspension. One staff member at the channel commented on Robinson's removal, 3 for the price of 1. Then Robinson tweeted, "I have been suspended from GB News." I don't know what Calvin Robinson think he was doing. I honestly don't understand. I don't know what Calvin thought he was doing. I really don't know what he thought he was doing. I'm telling you, I have to believe Calvin and Nanas and all the other Black people who show up on GB News, for some reason, tend to forget they're Black people. They tend to forget that even though they forget they're Black people, that the white people who they are caping to don't forget they're Black people. I was like, what did Calvin think was going to happen? I was just like reading this and doubling over in laughter because I don't know what he thought he was doing. You're sitting there chastising and calling out GB News and don't think they would suspend you? You think you have that kind of clout with them? And like, I will not appear on Dan Wootton show without Dan Wootton. It's just like, well, you're just not going to appear, period. You're just going to go off somewhere and be the fake priest that you are. Because like, I don't know what he thought he was doing. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you. It's so funny. I tweeted his I am suspended at Nana. I was like, here's looking at you, Nana. Because you gotta know you're next. So our Calvin, who was on his high horse beating the drum for Dan Wootton, has now also been suspended as one of their staff members said, 3 for the price of 1. That's a deal. I just broke out in laughter. I was just like, Calvin, dude. I'm sure somewhere, some parish somewhere is looking for a fake priest. He'll end up there. It's just like, yes. Where's that? K-Knight says, if he is a priest, he didn't get the calling from God, because if he did, he would not be dealing with a person like Dan Wootton. I'm telling you. And then trying to make it like, oh, it's about free speech. I was like, Calvin, you're sitting there being racist and all that stuff, throwing your own people, throwing your own people under a bus, just so you can get, like clout from white people. I'm like, what do you think they were going to do? When your usefulness has worn out, what do you think was going to happen to you? They were going to accept you? I mean, I have no idea. Like, what was he thinking? This is when, if you had any common sense, you would have gone hide yourself somewhere and hope they didn't remember you. But, yeah, these people are clowns. They are absolute clowns, you know. Let's just go in your comments and see what y'all see. I was like, Lady T's like, bye, Brother Calvin. Joanna's like, these people are a bunch of clowns. They are. They are a bunch of clowns. And Ishmael's like, yeah, he forgot he's black. I'm telling you, he sits there while he is, again, he's biracial, just like Meghan. And this man sits there and join in the attacks on Meghan. He joins in. And do you think they would accept you? Like, again, you could forget you're black, but they don't. They don't forget you're black, boo. As long as you have outworn your usefulness, you will be out the door as well, Calvin. And he's seeing it, Mashara says, oh, Calvin, the PIM got pimped. I'm like, oh my goodness. And it says it was Lawrence Fox to out Dan Woo to get him removed. No love among thieves. How many will out each other? Pierce Morgan, Tom Bowers. We are waiting with bated breath in the wings. Christmas, I'm telling you. And again, look, as with most squaddies, none of us have any bone in this game. It was like, we are not, we have no kind. It's like, it is really snakes eating snakes. So we're just on the sideline, just watching them destroy each other. And it's like, yep, that's what needs to happen. That is what needs, let them eat each other. Because the kind of narrative and the kind of atmosphere and the kind of, the hate that these people spew, this is all that can come from that. You can't be doing what you're doing and expect good things to come from it. You're creating this kind of environment, and all you're doing is creating other snakes, and all they're going to do is eat you. And that's what you're seeing happening here. GB News is the big snake in that room, and all they're doing is eating each other. They're attacking each other and eating each other. And I say, go ahead, devour each other. And we're just going to stay on the sidelines while you do it. Let's see. Sylvia says, Black Queen, you are right in reference to what some demons think about Black women. Prince Harry mentioned it in his interview with Michael Strahan. I'm not, I know he mentioned it, but I'm not sure specifically what you're referring to, in the sense of what you mean. So if you want to explain, or, if not, you don't have to, but I'd like to know what you mean. So there. Let's see. Esleen, hello, Esleen. Esleen says, Wootton may be invited back, but I doubt Calvin will. I'm telling you. Yeah, unless I hear that Dan Wootton has been fired, there is still a chance. Because again, this is GB News here. No, none of the other presenters out there, they can't stand on any hill and be like, oh, Dan Wootton, because they're all the same. They've all been doing the same thing. They're all like, it's just, again, a cesspool there. And so would I be surprised if, the suspension is for a few weeks and let this all die down and then they bring it back? No, absolutely not. I absolutely would not be surprised, because again, this is the news outlet that some MPs in the British government threw a party for recently. So I have no doubt, and including in that party was Dan Wootton. So I have no doubt that some in the government who, for example, and again, there are about four right-wing MPs right now who have shows on GB News. So they would, I would not be surprised if they are all, have a say in bringing Dan Wootton back. Because again, his whole spiel was, you know, pushing the right wing narrative, even though years ago he was apparently center left. All of a sudden, he's found his grift, and it's like, well, I could make more money being right wing. We've seen it in the US before. I mean, hello, what's his name on Spotify does the same thing, and so all of a sudden he's right wing, and hello, they threw a party for them. They literally threw a party for GB News. And so don't be surprised. I mean, I know a lot of people are, they're all like advocating for GB News to be taken off the air and all of that stuff. But again, they have friends in high places because they're out there spreading, right-wing nonsense. And so we will see. We will see. Let's see what else. Who else is saying stuff? Fire says here Dan would have been her or here. Oh, Dan would have been charged by the public prosecutor, also fired, fully investigated, and appeared in court long ago. What's going on in the UK isn't okay here. Regardless, you're rich VIP, a dignitary or royal family. Oh, okay. Yeah, wherever you are, Fire. Yeah, it's any I mean, when Byline Times put out their articles, they said they have given the police a whole file, 38, I think, documents or something like that, of charges against Dan Wootton. And again, not only that, the people who volunteered or spoke to Byline Times, most of them have also gone to the police and filed a report about what Dan Wootton allegedly had done to them. And there is still not an investigation going on into what Dan Wootton has done. It's like, oh, we're looking into it, but no investigation has really started. And so, and on top of that, all of the things when Dan Wootton went on air and basically talk about dark forces and stuff and said all that stuff about Byline Times, and then Byline Times had one of their reporters had blood smeared on his car, what looked like blood. They people have tried to hack them. They've had threatening phone calls and all kinds of stuff happening to them, which the police apparently they're looking into as well. But again, no informal investigation has started, so the police literally have done nothing. And that's why one of the guys who alleged, what Dan Wootton did to him was so frustrated on Twitter a few days ago, because he's like, I put everything out there. I said, I've gone to the police. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do. And all I'm getting is attacked, and there is no consequences for the man who attacked me. And so, even though, it's a suspension and it wasn't about what he is alleged to have done to him, I hope, with the suspension, that he has a little hope that maybe it'll go towards firing him, and hopefully the police will start doing something, because again, the police department has done nothing, which again makes me think, like, what does Dan Wootton have on these, on officers or whomever higher ups at the Metropolitan Police? Why a formal investigation has not started? Like, it's, and again, we see the same pattern, whether it's Prince Andrew, whether it's Hugh Edwards, whether it's Philip Schofield, all of those. The Metropolitan Police has not done its job. They have not done their job, and it's like, these people are just getting away with stuff, and this case is no different. So yeah, it's really wild. I mean, and even, not even just say this kind of thing. I mean, you saw it with King Charles again, that whole, cash for access, cash for honors, all that stuff, all of it swept under the rug. Oh, we're not going to do any investigation on it. And it's just like, but no, they'll go, arresting a poor woman getting on a bus without a bus pass or without a ticket. It's crazy. Um, let's see. Hmm. Maverick says, H night, I renamed Dan Wootton Miss Woot Miss Woot Woot. Uh, no, leave him as Mister. We don't want him. I'm like, I don't want him being referred to as any female anything. It's like, no, leave him as them. It's not what, you know. Let's see. So funny. You know, Mrs. S says he actually has the nerve to be wearing a color, the dog. Yeah, he is professed himself as a priest. And I'm like, I'm assuming he works for a church of some kind. I don't know. But he does. He wears unbelievable. Let's see. See. Oh, Carlita, thank you so much for your super sticker. I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you so much for your kind donation. Much appreciated. Um, let's see, staying in the chat for a bit. Dolores says Dan Wootton is connected to the royal family, and Rupert isn't going to let his attack dog go. Well, he's no longer with Rupert Murdoch since he left the the Sun. So he was with the Daily Mail, which is Lord Rothermere, and now he is with since he's now fired from there, he is now with GB News and Mr. What is it, Angopoulos or whatever his last name is, and so that's where he is. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, and some people are like, oh my gosh, Dan Wootton gone. We don't have to deal with, that's one less voice attacking the Sussexes. Think again. As he goes, there are lots more that will jump right in there because, again, Dan Wootton was making £250,000, most of which was attacking the Sussexes. And I'm sure they're going to put somebody else in that phase and they're going to be doing the exact same thing. Unless there is reform, unless there is a law, unless there is a governing body that has teeth that would actually stand up to these news outlets, this is going to go on. Ofcom is a waste of time, and so is the IPSO. Neither one of them would do anything. So, yeah, with Dan Wootton gone, they're just going to put somebody else there to say the same thing and probably worse. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is the UK. This is what they are. And so, yeah, they make money by destroying people is what they do. That's their model. That's their model, unfortunately. So, yeah. Anne says, Joan Hickey, she's talking to Joan. Nana gets promoted to go, or probably host I'm assuming you mean host in a few weeks. She will turn on all other blacks. I will not be surprised. She pops up in America in a new gig on Fox News. She gets makeovers. Not sure what that means, but yeah, I mean, I've seen Nana. I see a clip with Nana on BBC. And so look, I mean, don't be surprised at anything. And no, I would not be surprised to see her jumping on Fox News, even though it's it's a different thing. I wouldn't be surprised at any of those things. As long as they get black people to hate on other black people, that's their thing. They then could wash their hands. See, it's not us, it's them. They're hating on each other. So that's the thing, So let's see what else. Maverick's like, okay, paddle. Leave him a man. Jody Hickey says Calvin does not realize what Christianity means. Obviously, well, yeah, that's pretty obvious there. That's pretty obvious. With his fake robe, it's like goodness, dude. um. Anne says, a coincidence all this happened after Rupert Murdoch allegedly resigned. This is a massive distraction. So, what was happening prior to this earthshot and embarrassing state of a man? I'm not sure I understand. Coincidence. This is massive distraction. So, what was happening prior to this earthshot? An embarrassing state of a man. I'm not sure. Maybe explain a little bit. Anne, thank you. Dolores says the British system is corrupt from top to bottom, starting with the royals. You could say that again. That is definitely the truth. Joan Hickey says Nana has a new Mail Online column now, and she puts her face in racist articles written by old white men. Yep, we talked about that in a couple of episodes ago. Yes, she does. So, yep, she has definitely picked up where Dan Wootton has left off, as I said. Yeah, it's just like when one leaves, they put someone even worse, and preferably a black person, because they can say the stuff that the white people can't say, written by the white people, of course. Thank you so much, Deb. Is reminding everyone, don't forget to like the video, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and click the notification bell if you have, so you know when we drop a video. Thank you. Let's see what else I got away from Calvin and Dan Wootton and Lawrence Fox and their mess. Just breathe away that mess and go over to the Invictus Village. That's why a bit of a quite a jump there, but I love this. I loved when organizations and the different communities are tweeting about their people. It's like, huge congratulations to our Shredder. I don't know what those mean. David Jarvis, who took the gold for cycling at the Invictus Games and had a heartwarming moment with the Duke of Sussex. You did us proud, David. It's so awesome. And I love this, like, David is riding in his kilt. I'm like, how did he do it? It's amazing. So kudos, David. And so the Scottish men are very happy with his gold medal, or at least the Scottish organization, the Scottish Men Sheds Association, tweeting about David. And we talked about the Heart of Invictus. We were talking about it earlier. It says co-scored by Rafe. The Heart of Invictus soundtrack is available now wherever you get music. So if you want to get the Heart of Invictus soundtrack, just go ahead, wherever you get music, whether it's at Amazon or wherever you get your music, Apple, wherever, and get the Heart of Invictus soundtrack as well. So that would be awesome. I'm actually going to get that. That would be cool. My walking music. And what else? And finally, it's so funny at the Hague. After the Hague, we saw a lot of this, where a lot of these kids who were at the games would bring pictures back, or their dads or moms would come into their class and with pictures and their medals and stuff like that. So these two says these pupils have got Invictus Games medals after spending some time with Prince Harry. A great time had watching the wheelchair basketball and the wheelchair rugby. So they have all these cool pictures, and we saw this happening when they were at the games. Like, a bunch of them came up to Harry and they were taking pictures with him as he was sitting there. And so it's so funny, like, we saw this happening in real time. And so these are a couple of the kids that were taking the pictures while they were watching wheelchair basketball. So it's like, oh, it's just really cute. So yeah, these kids are awesome. So I look forward to seeing some more where, some of the athletes are in schools, because I did that last year and it was really so great. And the kids were really interested in what they were doing and what they were sharing. And so it'll be great. I mean, again, we saw the school in Netherlands, and two of the British athletes went there and chat with them, and they were all very much into it. So it's really, really great. And again, it's so wonderful to see the Invictus Games being presented to young kids, that they are growing up with this. And so this, I guess this was their show and tell. Kids have their little show and tell. So I just thought it was really, really cute. And there was this really cute picture, which I should have brought in, which I'll post it in our community page just in case you haven't seen it, with Prince Harry walking, holding hands with Buddy, the dog, their mascot. It's just so adorable. Because there's a picture with Meghan and Buddy high-fiving, and then Harry and Buddy hand in hand walking. It was so very, very funny. So yeah. So that's it, actually. Well, actually, you know what? Let's stay here for a second. We'll just stay here. We'll come back to, and I'll just stay in the comments for a little bit longer and see what you all are saying. Michelle says, my comment was deleted. My Dan comment was deleted. Why? I have no idea. Your comment was where? Here? I have no idea. What did you say to your comment? I don't know. So no, I don't know why it was deleted. I mean, as long as, if was it a cuss? If there was a cuss in it, probably. But if there wasn't, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, okay. And says, the distraction from William's Earthshot in New York. He was not invited to be the voice at at the table in the UN. Oh, that this is a distraction from William. Could be, but I mean, two things could be happening at the same time. I feel that, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I can't say that it's a distraction from William. I mean, William stuff was a mess, yes, but two things can be happening at the same time in this case. So that isn't related to William at all. I mean, so who knows? And probably could be that too. Who knows? So yeah. Let's see. Sistren says, is Calvin an ordained priest, or he just decided to slap on a color because he took a few divinity courses? I don't really know. I mean, he doesn't come across like a priest, but again, maybe I don't know what a priest is. I always think of him as fake anyway. If you are on GB News spouting the things that he spouts, then yeah. I would not. I mean, that's not to say other priests don't do the same thing. I mean, a lot of them has done worse, as we know. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? I'll maybe we should go check. I mean, I haven't been as interested, to go checking on Calvin. I'm just sort of write him off. So yeah. Mrs. S says, the raindrops feel like missiles. Oh, Mrs. S, you're outside? Oh, no. It is still so miserably gray. Don't go outside. I'm sorry. Yes, it is. I mean, I haven't been out there, so I'm like staying away. Although it's, obviously up here, there's no flooding or anything. But it's still miserable out there. It's still raining. It's still that horrible gray. Again, my hatred of that gray. Although someone's like, you're wearing a gray shirt. Yes, light gray, but not this gray, not this color of gray that the sky is. But yeah, it is just miserable out here. Please stay away. I mean, again, the note says, unless you're fleeing. I mean, if you are in a low-lying area in New York or New Jersey, definitely get to high ground, and so that way you're not at least you are safe. So definitely do that. But other than that, please don't go outside. Please, please stay safe. Stay safe. And if you're in a flood area, please don't go walking through flood, or being in unless you have to. Don't go and be messing with flood waters at all. So yeah. Let's see. Miss September says, it's easy to get rid of GB News. Don't tune in, period. I never watch TV programs I don't like. I watched on Kardashian programs, and I was done. I'm not sure what that means. I watched on Kardashian programs and I was done. Okay. But I get you, just Mrs. Miss September 15. Yeah, just tune out. To just don't tune out. But as with social media, the same thing. People hate watch things. I mean, look at what the people who like those trolls. They will hate watch every single thing that Meghan and Harry do, so they can go on social media and attack it. They will hate. People do that all the time. They hate watch things. And I was like, why would I sit there and watch something I don't like? I don't understand the thinking behind it. I'm not gonna go over there and be watching a movie on Prince William or Kate. I mean, maybe a clip will go by and I'll see a clip of it, but I'm not gonna sit there and watch. But people do. But people would sit there and hate watch things and then come in and complain about it. It's just like, well, you're the one that sat there and watched it. But more and more people, and again, more and more people are drawn to the negativity of a GB News. And, even the ones that are like, oh, you should get rid of it, but they watch it. So, yeah. Oh, Kardashian. Okay, so she's like, Rhino says Kardashian, I think. So I'm assuming, yeah, she probably saw some of Kardashian and tuned out of it. I've never seen the show. I've never seen the Kardashian shows. I haven't watched television in, gosh, how many years? Probably 12 years, maybe. I don't, it's so funny. The last time I watched a television show was on TV. Like I would see, stream stuff. But the last time I watched it was the Oprah Winfrey interview. And it's so funny. It was like I couldn't even figure out the remote because you have to use two remote controls. And I had no idea. I was like, can you help me with the remote? I couldn't figure out how to use it. I was like, it's my roommate's television. I could not figure out how to use. I'm like, how do you figure out how to use both? Like, there were so many buttons. I was just like losing my mind. So I had to have her come help me figure out her TV so I could watch. So I watched the Oprah Winfrey interview. So, let's see. See what else you have. Jordan's like, I never watch GB News, saw clips. Yep. I mean, they put a lot of their clips on social media. So yeah, which is I'm assuming where they probably get their most views on social media. I think Piers Morgan's show is the same. I mean, for a while ago, they were saying that they don't think that, and I even said it on here, that they don't think that show is going to last throughout the year. I mean, I don't know what it is doing now, if it's still declining. I haven't checked in a while, but yeah. But GB News is growing. That's the thing. That's probably why they have they're like not changing things as they should change things. They're like, well, we're getting more and more people, so why should we? So yeah. Trish Nelly says, Petal, how is Pamela? Tell her I said hello. We miss her. I was hearing she's fine. I haven't seen her in a while. She is always very, very busy, and we have very different lives, as you can tell why, we weren't able to stay on, she wasn't able to stay on this. So yeah, I haven't spoken to her in a while. So, but I will send her a text letting you know that she is, that you miss her. So yeah. Because she had promised to come on like a while ago and then wasn't able to. So I don't know. I'm sure she's doing fine. Anne says, is GB News over 10 years old? No, they're like, 2-3 years now? I think it was like 2 years or 3 years old. There are sufficient complaints to close down that station. Yeah, the last I checked a few days ago, there are about 11 or 12 different investigations that Ofcom is literally doing on GB News right now. 11 or 12 of them. And it's just like, are you serious? And I mean, from the time the station started, there have been complaints and they have still not done anything about it. Again, GB News have a lot of support, again, from the right wing. So, and plus they have a lot of money. So there you go. Even though people like a lot of advertisers have pulled their ads from them, they have a lot of money, so they're fine. They seem to be fine. Yeah. So, but no, they're only like 2 or 3 years old. They just got there. And people didn't even expect them to end, to be there by the end of the first year. And there we are. They're literally growing. At some points, they are getting more viewers than BBC. And it's just like, hello, that's why they feel emboldened to do the things that they're doing. So yeah. And again, Anne says, if advertisers disassociate themselves from GB News, they will clean up their act fast. The public complaints is not enough, not even acknowledged adequately by Ofcom. Advertisers they have been pulling themselves away, and so they've been pulling themselves out, and they're still doing it. Again, the owner of GB News has a lot of money, so that's, I think, been the thing that's been keeping them afloat. Dan Wootton and others have been complaining that advertisers are that they're pulling out their ads, and so yeah, they've been complaining about it, but they're still there. So yeah. Michelle says, but I just said I felt once GB News fires Dan, he won't be back. Those accusations against men have done him in. In my opinion, powerful forces are at hand. He is a liability and is dispensable, in my opinion. I wish this is the case as well, Michelle. I really do. But knowing how we've talked about it a lot, about how these men fail up. They'll be quiet for a few years, and then they'll pop up on another news outlet, completely rebrand themselves, and then all of a sudden they are forces for good. We talked about that even in the case of, say, Byline Investigates. The owner of Byline Investigates, Graham Johnson, was a hacker. He, was charged with hacking. He was working with Piers Morgan at the Mirror. He also was a hacker at, and wrote all these lying articles at News of the World and all of those things. He was notorious for that. He was fired because of that. And you would think these people would not get a job anywhere. And all of a sudden, he rebranded himself. He got jobs on BBC. He got jobs on all of these places, completely rebranded themselves. And now he owns Byline and part owners of Byline Investigates, helping the other side, be able to fight against the tabloids that he used to work with and, was part of hacking with. So again, these people rebrand themselves. And so even though Dan Wootton is where he is now, this is the way that it works in the UK. Piers Morgan should not ever have a job in television. I mean, this man was a part of hacking Millie Dalweller's phone, this young girl who was killed. He was the editor of the Mirror when they did this horrible thing with the soldiers in Iraq, when they posted these fake articles and fake pictures saying that British soldiers were abusing soldiers in Iraq, when it was a lie. It was something that's some thing that they faked in the UK, and they put it on the front pages of the Mirror, and he was fired for it. You would think, he went ahead and posted all this stuff about even Princess Diana's brother's wife, invading their privacy, invading Naomi Campbell's privacy. I mean, he has done so many horrible things, and you would think. And here is Piers Morgan again, got to the top of the, when he was at GMB, he was on top of the world. It was all about Piers Morgan. And here he is sitting on a $50 million contract, a £50 million contract from Rupert Murdoch, has his own show, and was the face of this new, Rupert Murdoch's new venture with his new TV show and all of that stuff. Yes, the ratings sucked, but you would think somebody like Piers Morgan will never be back, and yet here we are. And if it was up to the media, and not people, barking every time they see it, Prince Andrew would be back. And don't be surprised if you see Prince Andrew starts working for the royal family. This is how it works there. They would rebrand themselves, and then they just count on a very forgiving public that would not do, and a very apathetic public that wouldn't do anything, and will just be like, all of a sudden, they are the big stars again, So it's just like, if you look in the background of some of these royal reporters, you're like, you did what? You know, Emma, what's her name? Even like Rebecca, what's her name? Rebecca, I forgot what, Rebecca English. She's one of the people, she's, one of the top royal reporters for Daily Mail, accused of, funding, paying investigators to sit next to Prince Harry's girlfriend. I mean, all of this stuff is out. You see Katie Nichols, she's writing for, what is she writes for? Vanity Fair, one of those things. Same thing, accused of using stuff from phone hackers. All of these people should not be in the press. Yet it's all hidden, and there they are, making money off of this stuff. And it's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. When you see this stuff, when you look at their background and realize the mess that they made, that they created, and then all of a sudden, here we are in 2023, and they're all back in the press. They're all working, and everybody has forgotten or have hidden what they've done. So I'd like to believe, if they fire him, that, that's the end of Dan Wootton, but I don't think so. He is a white male. They usually fail up. That's, and unfortunately, that's the situation. They do. So yeah, I'm telling you, I would really love to believe this. I really would hope this is true. But yeah, so yeah. But anyways, guys, let's see. I think that's it. That's all I got. Thank you all so much. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys so much for coming and listening to my rant. Please pray for us in New York. Please pray that this rain stops, that it stops being gray, that it starts sunshine again. It's so weird. It's like we had one day of sunshine and then back to being gray. So yeah, and that the flooding doesn't really, again, it's going to be bad downtown. But anyway, pray for us in New York, wherever you are. Hopefully it is not like this. Thank you so much to our awesome moderators, Lydia Church, Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream, and Black Queen. Thank you so much for keeping our chat safe. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you to all of our wonderful squaddies who are part of our 2 Cents crew, which, by the way, there are some more that join. I'm going to, on the next podcast, acknowledge you. I apologize. My brain has not been there the last few days, and so I see it. And so on our next podcast, we will have all of our new 2 Cents crew members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel, and thank you for all of you support in the chat, whether it's a donation or Cash App in the chat, or super stickers or super thanks, however, or straight donation. Thank you so much for your support. So anyway, guys, have a fantastic day, whatever it is you're doing. Again, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you next time. Bye.